Watching my homies, DJ80 here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Denon SC Live 4. So this isn't really going to be a review as such, although I will look at a few parts of it, but we're going to be comparing it against the Denon Prime 4, and really it's more of a discussion because I know that there's plenty of people who own the Prime 4 that were looking to buy this, and there might be some of you out there who own neither but were looking to buy the SC Live 4. And this video is really more aimed at the mobile DJs in particular. So whereas a lot of the other videos you would have seen for the SC Live 4 are in-depth reviews and the ins and outs and what each button does, this video isn't about that, and there's plenty of them out there if you want to know more technical stuff about the SC Live 4. What today's video is going to be about is comparing them and comparing all the chatter that's going around and the opinions about them that's going around, and trying to allow you guys to have your own, make up your own mind about whether you want to purchase one or not. Because there's a lot of things to consider, not just the products themselves, but the information that you've been given by other reviewers, and also why they might be giving you that information. So I don't even think I can do a skip to it, because basically I'm just going to do this video as I go along. So it's going to be in little clips that are stitched together, and it's just going to be my thoughts on it. So it's not a review as such. Look somewhere else if you want a proper review of the product. This is more of a look and an impartial comparison between the two, because unlike all the other reviewers, mine are all independent. I don't get any of the equipment for free, so I buy it myself, and then I just do the reviews for you guys, so you've got a genuine review on the product. And also because I am a mobile DJ myself, and I'm like you, I'm going out doing 40ths or a wedding at the weekend at your local social club or your local pub. I know what the real world issues are on a week-to-week basis, so I try and sort of share that with you. So if you're happy with that, let's open the box and see what we've got. Inside the box, which was very well packaged, you get the controller, you get a lead that runs from the controller to a computer or laptop, you get a power cable, you get your instructions, you get a little cloth for cleaning the screen, warranty, a card to scan to get started with a QR code, and some Denon stickers as well. So the reason I remeasured was I didn't have this extra space, or what seemed like extra space, on this booth with the Prime 4 on it. And it turns out the distance from here to here has improved by 5 centimeters, and internally from your mesh there on the frame to your mesh there, it's a total of 9 centimeters extra in length. Similarly, the distance from the back to the front has increased by 4 centimeters, so there's more space on it. I'll update the other video in the comment section, but that's kind of important to this video because I wanted to explain, part of my reasoning for getting the SC4 Live. Right, if you're in the UK, two of the most popular booths are these two here. So one on the left here is the ADJ Pro event table. There's a review of that on my channel. It's also sold by Equinox, and it's also sold by a couple of other brands as well. They have like a generic name. On the right here is probably the most common DJ booth now in the UK, and this version is the Gorilla DBS Lite. Again, sold by Equinox and Vonix, and if you're in America, probably Rockville. But it's the same booth, but just different brand stickers on them. And these are the two most popular booths for mobile DJs in the UK. And part of the reason I had one of these, and you can Google it on my channel, I've got a couple of videos on it, and including a mod, and I had one of these, and then when I brought the Prime 4, I felt there wasn't enough room on it, which is why I then moved to this booth, which has a lot more space. And I've just put my Prime 4 on it because I've just brought this new, this Gorilla DBS booth. I sold the old one, and I've just put my Prime 4 on it, and there seems to be a lot more space. So I actually went to my channel and had a look at the review that I did on this booth, and the measurements have changed. It's bigger than the one that I bought 3 years ago. So the reason I remeasured was I didn't have this extra space, or what seemed like extra space, on this booth with the Prime 4 on it. And it turns out the distance from here to here has improved by 5 centimeters, and internally from your mesh there on the frame to your mesh there, it's a total of 9 centimeters extra in length. Similarly, the distance from the back to the front has increased by 4 centimeters, so there's more space on it. I'll update the other video in the comment section, but that's kind of important to this video because I wanted to explain, you know, part of my reasoning for getting the SC4 live. So just looking at how they sit, the Prime 4 on the DBS light booth. So I have some space at the front, and you'll see at the back, because it has this wire mesh, it stops the cables from poking out. But that's quite a tight fit there. But there is, you know, I've got a bit of give, a little bit of flex there. But in a way, that's quite a good thing because it means my cables just can't accidentally be pushed out or pulled out. And that gives me a few centimeters at the front space. You'll also see that this sits quite high on the shelf. If we look at the SC Live 4, you'll see it sits a lot lower. And also a big difference is access to the back here. So these are quite easy to get to. Your XLR ports, all your outputs there, and the power lead, which is a straightforward kettle lead. And then the USBs or your hard drives go in at the top. When we look at the SC Live, I found this a bit more fiddly because everything is underneath the screen here. So what you have to do is you have to lift the unit up to plug in your XLR cables, which are right underneath the screen, and your USB port, and your little power port, which uses a converter power brick to reduce the power down. And it's all on the left hand side. So it's a small detail, but if you're used to using the Prime 4, where you're used to just being able to just reach around and plug everything in, it's just going to take you a few seconds more. If you've not used the Prime 4 and this is your first venture into one of these, you won't know any different, I suspect. So yeah, it won't make any difference to you. And here to give you a different view, this is the Prime 4 on the truss booth. And this is how the SC Live 4 sits on the Gorilla booth. So looking at the back here, you can see we've got a lot more space. I'll just lift it up. There. And your power lead and that. And then when it sits down, we've got plenty of space at the back there. So even with a gap. And obviously because of its size, I have a bit more space at the edges as well. So I've switched them both on, and I'm using my backup drive in the Prime 4, but it's updated as regularly as my main drive. So I have same playlists and stuff in it. So the first thing we should compare is the screens. And if you've been looking at the SC Live 4 and videos of it already, you've probably looked at one channel in particular. I'm not going to name the guy, but basically he does reviews and does courses as well. They have a prolific Facebook page, and what they tend to do is they ask a question like, oh, what are your go-to wedding tracks? And then like a month later, you'll get, oh, join this course and find out the must-play wedding songs. And basically they ask DJs questions, and the DJs all plow in wanting to show how knowledgeable they are. And before you know it, you've got a course about it that you could buy a month later. But the guy is quite clearly a Pioneer fan. When he did a review of the Prime 4, and it's actually in writing as well, and if you read it, he probably says Pioneer as much as he says Denon. And when you watch him do this review of this SC Live 4, you can actually see him dying inside as he's but the layout's like Pioneer, and record box. But anyway, one of the key things that he mentioned was that it was hard to see this screen and read what's on it, and it's not. If you're completely new to Engine and the software, you know, obviously you have to play with it a little bit before you work out how to use it and how to get the best out of it. But we have been spoiled with the Prime 4 because the screen is so big, and you really get used to it. I mean, I've had this for a few years, this Prime 4, and one of the things that made me a bit apprehensive about buying this one was, is the screen really that bad? But then I thought about it and thought, you know, what are the chances of us getting a new all-in-one controller that's going to have a big screen like this? You know, Denon might release a version 2 of this, but it could be a long way down the line, and I wanted something sooner rather than later. And I know Pioneer have released, is it the RX3, which is a 2-channel controller, but I think the screen's slightly bigger. It's not as big as this. So if you've got a Prime 4 and you're thinking about moving down to the Live 4, you know this screen is just lovely when you're working in your mobile gigs. It's just so nice to have it there. And even when you have guests that come up that are making requests and asking for stuff, you can see that they sort of look at it and go, wow, you know, that looks like a really high-end piece of equipment, which it is. You know, for $2,000, it's not cheap. But the point I'm trying to make is this screen is adequate to do what you need to do. You know, if you want to load a track into a deck, it's all there. And you can see everything. You've got your browse function, you've got your search function. And, you know, let's just, first person that pops into my head. And you see I typed that there without any sort of typo errors or anything like that. So it can find anything that it needs to do. So the next big thing worth considering if you're going from a Prime 4 to a Live is the effects layout. So I've got 4 little buttons here for effects that I use if and when I want to use them. And then you can control the effects using this button here on each channel. Now this does have an array of effects up here on this side and this side. And I've never used them ever. But that's the reality of being a mobile DJ. Because the chances are you're not going to need too many effects when you're transitioning from ABBA's Dancing Queen to Summer of '69. Because mobile DJing, by and large, is about playing a very wide variety of music. So you're not just playing dance music, you're playing 80s and 70s and 60s. And aside from that, if you're on your own and you're a mobile DJ, you're also having to keep an eye on the dance floor. You know, you're looking at, you know, the 2 guys who have just jumped onto the dance floor with full pints and they're jumping around and spilling beer all over the place. Are they coming near you? Have you got your crowd up and dancing? Is the person who booked you having a good time? Then on top of that, if you are on your own, you've got your Becky standing right next to your booth going, oh, can I see what music you've got? Or me and my friends are leaving in 10 minutes. Can you put Drake on? Everyone will love it. So you don't get a big opportunity to use a lot of effects and really go into your mixing, not as a mobile jock. So it's nice that this has still kept those 4 effects, albeit they're in a slightly different place. But from what a lot of reviews have said is that this is a similar setup to the Pioneer setup. So if you're moving from Pioneer gear to something like this, then presumably that'll be quite familiar to you. Another differential for the mobile DJ is all the extra controls that you have at the top. So on the Prime 4, you have 2 mic inputs and, you know, EQs for both of them. And you've also got controls for your booth and your zone out as well. Typically, mobile DJs either use just one mic or they have an actual separate, you know, mic receiver. So they just plug that one receiver into one port. And if you look at the back of this Prime 4, there's a plethora of stuff, outputs, that the chances are most mobile DJs don't use. Now, I'm saying most, you know, I don't need the ones that are screaming at me going, oh yeah, I always take a booth monitor and I have everything else plugged in, ready to go if something fails. I'm just saying most as in general. Typically, I have my XLRs and my power lead. And I have a wireless receiver that goes into mic 1. That's it. So the rest of the stuff, I don't really need. And if you don't think you need it, then the chances are you probably don't need to pay for all this extra functionality you get on the Prime 4. Another point that I've seen mentioned in some of the videos is that the crossfader isn't replaceable. So on the Prime 4, you can remove it. I actually have on this. I had to replace the crossfader with an fader one. But it was mentioned that you couldn't do it with the SC Live 4. And when I was looking at new controllers, I discovered that actually that's the same with a lot of them. If you look at the XDJ R3 or the XDJ XZ or the Rain 1, none of them have screws here, but you can replace the crossfaders. So that said, these do feel the same as the Prime 4 ones. They've got that same kind of resistance, and the knobs feel the same as well. So I think they're probably they're the same thing underneath the outside of the unit. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one of the other features that the SC Live 4 has, which the Prime doesn't, and that, of course, is its built-in speakers. At the moment, I use these little plug-in Logic ones, but this is kind of nice. I like to have a little jam at home. Do you know what? I don't care. If they're there, why not use them? They obviously decided that they might be useful for some people, and I know a lot of people have mentioned TikTokers, and people who do live Twitch feeds and stuff like that. But for me, they're just kind of handy to have a little practice and have a jam at home. I mean, honestly, if they weren't there and, you know, the price was reduced by a little bit, that would be fine by me too. But the price is what it is. And you've got a little something there. I'd rather have speakers which are kind of useful to me as someone who likes to practice at home than a ton of EQs for microphones that I'm not likely to use. Right, up to now, I'm really happy with this Live 4. Has everything that I need. And I'm just doing a little practice run with it, with some songs. So I've got the same song lined up. It's Work It. It's my favourite song at the moment. It's by Dance System F. I've got the same cue points and the same track ready on both. So, right, I'm just going to have a little jam, and don't hate me if it's out of beat, okay? But just basically, I want to bring to your attention these pads, because the pads are different. So let's just do this a sec. Okay, so there's a few taps of the red one. Then that's that's how sensitive they are. That takes me to the beginning, the intro, and then that takes me to the first verse. So if I try and do the same on here, I do have an issue because these buttons are click buttons and they're nowhere near as light to touch as those ones. So this is the same track. This is going to be my same effort. Oh, well, there you go. So straight off the bat, That's the same pressure that I applied to the other one, but it doesn't click the cue point. All right. So the big issue is these are click buttons. So whereas these will just work on a slight tap, and I've kind of got used to lifting my finger that distance for the beat. And I'm literally just touching it. And I just can't do that on these. These basically need pressure on them. They click. Like if I do that, nothing. And you actually literally have to push them and click them. This is a real pain for me. Now, if you've not used a controller that has such light touch buttons, then you'll just kind of learn with this. This will be what you have, and you'll get used to it, and you'll practice with it. But what I found is that there is a slight delay because you have to push the button, and that takes a bit more pressure, and my timing's out, and I think it's muscle memory because I've got so used. I do a lot of mixing. When I do get to mix, I do it with the pads. That's pretty much how I mix, and I use the pads and use the cue points on the pads. And obviously I've got to a set point where I just tap them and I know where I'm at. Muscle memory means I'm going to have to relearn and allow for that extra fraction of time to put the weight on here. So I've gone from kind of tapping it with my finger from a distance to I'll have to learn to press it and have my fingers on it all the time. If you're moving from a Prime 4 to this and you do use the pads a lot, this is going to make a big difference, a real big difference to how you mix music. So what I'll do now, I think, is I'm going to actually have a few practice sessions on this, trying to mix and using the pads like I normally would, and I'll see how I get on. So I'm going to have a quick look at the Wi-Fi settings and the ability to stream. And these are all the settings that are available on the Prime 4. So this doesn't have Amazon on it, which is a big selling point for this one. And because this is brand new, this one doesn't list as Amazon either, but I don't stream. And a lot of the main mobile DJs that I know also don't stream. But I was having a conversation with another DJ the other day, and he raised an interesting point, and he said that, you know, many people under the age of 23 don't even own music anymore. They don't buy music. It's all done through streaming. And I thought, actually, that's a really good point. My daughter's 19, and I think she owns a few vinyl albums of Taylor Swift, and that's it. So she's another sort of Spotify fan. And as a mobile DJ in the UK, just relying on streaming is a really risky business because, you know, some of your venues, you might just as well be, you know, playing out on Mars because you just can't get a Wi-Fi signal. And so we kind of rely, and it's old school, and we buy our music. I mean, all my music now is all digital, but it means I have it. You know, hard drives are cheap enough to keep tons of music on. And so I wonder really whether this is something for the future, or, you know, something for up and coming DJs who just naturally rely on streaming. But we don't have really good 5G in the UK everywhere. You know, and some of these village halls and social clubs are out in the middle of nowhere. Now, you can take a picture of your rig when you set up and post it online. And then when you get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, you'll get a notification saying, oh, we've just posted your picture. And I'm like, you know, what good is that? I wanted to do that 6 hours ago. But with regards to the Amazon Music, something else that you should know Obviously I haven't downloaded Amazon on here. I don't actually even have an Amazon Music account, but at the moment you can only have 2 tracks from Amazon at any given time. So let's say we're playing this track from Amazon and we're playing this track from Amazon. If you want to play another track from Amazon, you're going to have to load in a track from your hard drive to replace this one before you can load track number 2 from Amazon. So it's only 2 at a time. You know, I suspect if Amazon's going to be a big selling point for this unit, then they'll increase that so you can sort of do multiple tracks and do a long mix with it. But at the moment, that's all you can do with Amazon. And I don't know how exactly you eject a track. So I've got a track here. The only way I would know how to get rid of that is to replace it with another one. If anyone knows how to actually eject a track so that I could then have 2 from Amazon, I could eject one and then get my second one from Amazon, eject that one and get my second one from Amazon, and do it that way. If you know how to eject tracks on Engine, by all means mention it in the comments box. But as it stands at the moment, I don't even know how to eject a track from my hard drive, so I just put another one on top of it. Here's something a bit bizarre. I have just stopped playing that Work It track, and bizarrely I was just about to play it on the Prime 4 and I could hear it playing again, and I'm like, what? Where's that coming from? And you can just hear it every now and then. It repeats itself on the speaker. Hear that? I'll turn the volume right up. Let's see if we can get it again. Did you hear that? Well, that's quite bizarre. So nothing's playing. That was the track I was playing, Work It. And I haven't got any effects on whatsoever. So none of the special effects are on. That's all set to normal. But it keeps... I don't know if you can catch that. It's very, very faint. That concludes then my little yarder about the SC Life 4 versus the Prime 4. I do really like it, but it has that full buttons. But if you're looking to upgrade and you don't want to spend 2 bags of sand on that, then maybe go to DJ Deals, pick up one of these and a case for $11.29. So then, where does that leave me with the SC Life 4 versus the Prime 4? Well, the first thing you need to consider is that a lot of the reviews that you have seen already, which came out before you could purchase it, were by people, YouTube channels and Facebook groups that actually run a business in providing this information. So they got these units before you or I could get hold of them. And so you obviously you need to think about that agenda behind that, and what they gain from it, as well as doing the review. So I wouldn't necessarily be completely swayed one way or the other as to whether you should buy one or not buy one. I would say if you are a new coming DJ and, you know, for instance, you've been using a laptop to DJ, or you've been using something like a Mixtrack Pro, you know, one of the little basic controllers, and you're looking to upgrade, and you're looking to go to 4-channel as well, because you're paying a bit more for a 4-channel one, although it does have some other features too, then maybe, yeah, why not? If you are a Prime 4 user, and like me, you were thinking, I'll sell the Prime 4, I'll buy the Live 4, so I've got some brand new equipment, and the money that I'll get for the Prime 4 will cover that anyway, and probably leave a bit extra in my pocket because they're so expensive at the moment. So I get something a bit lighter weight, pretty much does the same thing, doesn't need all the bells and whistles because I'm a mobile DJ and I just don't use them. I think I might do that. That's what I was thinking. And after playing with it, there's two issues that I have with it with mine. One's the buttons, because I'm so used to using the pads on the Prime 4 and they work sort of almost instantaneously. They're in beat with me. I've had a little practice with them and I can see it annoying me, and I've got December coming up. I've got tons of gigs in December, and the last thing I need is to be looking like a dickhead on the decks because all my mixing's out of sync. And also this one has that fault. I replayed that video clip on my computer that you heard just now, and had the volume up, and you can hear it. There's something all right there. So obviously I'm thinking, well, hold on, why is the product faulty straight out the box? And I mean, it's not a big issue because you wouldn't notice it if you were playing out because you're constantly playing music. But it's a little bit of a worry for me, considering that the product itself is over £1,100, which is a lot of money. So I think what I'm going to end up doing, certainly for now, unless something else comes out, is I am going to stick with my Prime 4 and unfortunately pass on the SC Live 4 on this occasion. It's a case of having it too good already, so I don't want to go down to something that my expectation, it won't meet my expectations. So I'm just going to take a moment to talk about Denon itself and the engine software. So to be clear, I have no brand loyalty. I'm not a Denon guy who's dead against Pioneer. I've never actually owned a Pioneer controller, I don't think. But I'm not a brand whore like that. So I buy equipment purely on functionality. And I don't care who it's made by. If it does what I need it to do, then that's fine with me. But I will tell you, during the few years that I've had the Prime 4, if there is one thing I absolutely hate about it, it is the engine software. So I'm doing this video in December 2022, and I'm on the latest version of the software. But believe me when I say it has been a horrific journey to get to this stable software. I mean, I had it when it came out in version 1.4, and they've done tons of updates since then. And what happens is, for one, the updates might fix one problem but cause another. But the biggest problem is there's all these other DJs that are asking Engine or Denon to add extra things to their software. And if you don't have a steady platform to start off with, they're just piling more and more stuff on it. I mean, what mobile DJ needs a controller that controls your Philips Hue lighting? I mean, who even has Philips Hue lighting? It's an unnecessary add-on to the software. And of course, when those things need updating or when those things go wrong, it's more updates that you have to do. And so for me, and I know for lots of other engine users, the big problem that we have with these Denon standalone products is the software, and it creates a trust issue with them. I've learnt my lesson, so when the updates come out, I don't do them at all. I let the other fans go forward, and you know, they do all the updates, and I wait a month or two and wait for all the feedback and see what all the problems are. And then if and when I need to do one, then I do one. And it does cause a trust issue with using the engine software. And if another manufacturer came out with a similar product to the Prime 4, and it had Serato, or even better, virtual DJ built in, I would swap in an instant. No loyalty. I'd be straight out of there. I'd get all my music and reanalyze it through whatever the new software is, and I would jump ship. And that trust issue Denon would kick themselves in the foot with that, because they've had these products out for several years. They're way ahead of any other manufacturer, and they just let themselves down with the software. And they're still doing it. I mean, like, for instance, you know, adding on Amazon streaming capability. It's all extra stuff that people aren't really asking for. What we want is just basic software that works. And for me, and I've tried many of them, Engine is the bottom of the list, absolutely bottom of the list. I use it, I get by on it, and for many others it's the same. But to be fair, I do believe that Denon got a whole new software team on it and built it all up from scratch. And I don't have any problems with it when I'm out playing. But the moment another update comes out, it's just like, oh. So I keep my Wi-Fi turned off on my Prime 4 specifically so it doesn't automatically update. And when I log into Engine on my laptop, I always click remind me later, never automatically update. And so they've lost a real opportunity by doing that. But they've got these new products out, so it's up to you if you want to buy one.